Hi, my name is Ashwin, and I'm the Chief Product Officer of Affirmed. It's a Microsoft company. I'm really excited to talk to you guys at the FutureNet conference. And I would like to, my goal of this presentation is to really intrigue the operator and also to actually call for action to the vendors, the ecosystem which is helping out the telcos. And in order to make these telcos disruptive, we want to help them modernize and monetize. That's the theme of the presentation. So I want to start with some of the industry trends here. I mean, the whole, everybody has heard about the digital transformation, but it's all about business outcome driven, right? More agility, services offered in the SaaS way. Everything is cloud first and API first, and automation with AI and ML. I want to talk about a couple of case studies, and I want to see how these industries have done in their own respective spaces, and what can we learn and what can we do. Let's take the first one, Airtel. It's a mobile operator in India, and when the first time the mobile was wanting to be done in India, the ARPU for the business case was too high, and so it was not even possible to actually deploy the mobile networks. The operator became very savvy, and he just said, okay, I'm going to own the brand, the spectrum, and the go to market. And he asked the vendor, one of the vendors, to go ahead and deploy the mobile network and the RAN, and another vendor to deploy the OSS and the BSS. And it so happened, and then he said that I'm going to do a revenue share. Vendors were excited about it, but what happened was that it forced the vendors actually to innovate and lower their costs in order to deliver the service, because they were going to get paid only when the revenue was being generated. The vendors, for example, they were able to do like 100 calls in a card. They were able to innovate and do like 1,000 calls, 10 times improvement. They were able to do OSS and BSS changes in the network with let's say 10 people, and then they innovated and accelerated to do it with one. And eventually they turned a low ARPU, non-viable business case into one of the biggest successes. In another industry, a video service provider, who really wanted to, was competing with the over-the-top onslaught, wanted to give an amazing customer experience to the customer, and wanted to, hold the customer with his base. Then he applied the principles of like cloud first, API first, and instead of avoiding brute force integration with all the multi vendors, the service provider asked the vendor along the entire chain of the video chain, acquisition, encoding, DRM, TV guide, CDN, and the client on the setup, everything was offered as a service. And he went ahead and stitched all of those APIs and then focused on the customer experience, which was entirely his own innovation. And it was one of the biggest successes. As you can see, every company is becoming a software company. Infrastructure is becoming code. People are doing dev and ops, and product is actually essentially becoming a service, right? So if you go to the the approaches, the way I see is the mobile operators right now, the old way of doing things is the operator issues these RFIs, gathers the information, he selects some best of the suite vendors, and then he does siloed POCs with each one of the vendor. Then he assumes the role of an SI and he designs the network, and it's very people and process intensive. And then once everything is done, then comes the vendor management for features and upgrades and improvements. And he has to line up all the roadmaps of the different vendors, ensure that everything comes into his network at the same time. And then he plans that and he makes changes into the network and upgrades. it's almost like 6 months. It takes like 6 months to even do these upgrades. This operator takes on all the burden. It's got high upfront costs and it's high risk, and it's people oriented, not machine oriented. There's not much of agility, and it's delayed and unpredictable business outcomes. The vendor is definitely just taking the software, throwing it on the other side of the wall, and hoping that the operator really brings the best out of his product. And he has an RFI driven roadmap, rather than an outcome driven roadmap. So let's see what can happen if you did the other way. And in a disruptive approach, the operator would do demos and POCs, not RFIs. Selects the best of the suite vendors as usual, but he doesn't want the product as a software thrown to be the other side, but he expects that to be offered as a service with an SLA. And that means the vendors has a skin in the game now. And then the vendor management for the operator is really just outcome driven. I want to be able to add a new feature into the network so that I can do zero rating. I don't want to charge a customer when he's watching Netflix, something like that. And then he expects the vendors, whoever the components are, to deliver the features as a service, and then he just adds the new features in the next sprint and offers the service to its end customers. In this form, the vendor is really offering solution or the product as a service, and it's an outcome driven roadmap rather than an RFI driven roadmap, and it's highly agile with flexible scaling to meet the business needs. The operator does less, lowered upfront costs, and the vendor takes on more. He's going to add competency quickly as needed. It's going to be lower risk for the operator, and it's machine oriented than people. It's got outcome based cost also. So I want you to picture this way, with this, that if you want to build a mobile network, you need a RAN. So you could ask a vendor to provide the vRAN cloud service, a multi-tenanted mobile core with slicing as a service, an orchestration as a service, BSS as a service. And then the operator typically focuses on the business plan, the brand, the marketing, sales, and even wholesale customer portals. All of that he's going to own, and he's going to focus only on the business and the customer. And the vendors now are offering services which are SLA based. They're actually sharing the risk, and hence you will probably also get higher rewards. And it's got low integration challenges, and this is the promise of the new way. So let's I'm not announcing any new products here. I'm not launching anything. The whole idea of this exercise and this presentation was to intrigue the operator and challenge the vendors. And so this is a possibility that I'm talking about. Imagine a marketplace of all telco services on the cloud, and the cloud is also a hybrid cloud. It can deploy it on the hyperscaler, or it can deploy on your premise, or on your network edge, or on your customer prem. But imagine all of that has happened. You go to this marketplace and you have all of the mobile, the OSS and the CNFs and the network functions all available in the portal. Once you do that, on the same platform, the operator is going to be able to compose an environment. For example, he wants to do, or an SI wants to do an end-to-end test, and then and again, you created a blueprint, you get it deployed, you can do a pre-production environment, and then you can do a production environment, and that goes your pipeline. Same platform for the devs and the integrators and for the ops of the operator, Then if you also imagine, all of those aspects from this, are provided from the cloud platform. The orchestration, lifecycle management, all aspects of auto scaling, monitoring, the behind the scene aspects like database replication, snapshots, backups, high availability security, everything is provided. The operator simply is able to compose and create, let's say, a mobile control plane region X, a redundant high availability control plane on region Y, and then a user plane on region Z. And and there he goes. That's about it. If you see what we are doing in this whole journey is we're able to allow the operator to deploy in minutes rather than in months, go to the catalog, compose a service, and deploy on the cloud. The theme of the presentation and the theme and the call to action to all the vendors out there is to unburden the operator and so that they can fly. And this is a beautiful opportunity. 5G is the opportunity of inflection. Edge is on the rage. Applications are wanting to deploy not only on the cloud hyperscalers. And so all three opportunities are coming together. And if the vendors start to offer the operators more as services, then the work that the operator has to do decreases and the probability of success increases, And the opportunity for the vendors is also higher, The traditional approaches of software licensing in a perpetual or subscription only mechanism and throw the software to the other side of the wall is not that compelling. There is an opportunity here that you can do with minimum commitment partnerships and success-driven pricing models where you can share higher risk and get higher revenue opportunities. This is an amazing way how a disruptive operator of the future can be. Thank you very much.